What's up, guys? This is Colby here, or I'm your Huckleberry, however you want to think of me. This is going to be my very first video I've ever made. A lot of people talking about how they want to learn a lot about AR-15 armory and customization and stuff like that, and it's something I enjoy doing. I'm not licensed by any means. I have no sponsorships. I don't get sent free stuff. Everything's out of my own pocket. Everything's self-taught. A buddy of mine, he's really big into armory type stuff, and we help each other out a lot. He's got a lot more tools and power tools than I do, and but I want to take y'all along on this journey. Y'all have mentioned before how y'all want to learn more about it, and you definitely get to seeing how this goes on. So I'm going to start out and let you know what I got going on here and what I'm going to end up doing, and hopefully just keep y'all updated and we'll go from there. This right here is a AR-15 chambered in 5.56, just your very standard AR-15. The only thing that's not standard about it would be this barrel. This is an 11.5-inch barrel. All right, it's carbine length, meaning the gas block is at least 7.5 inches away from the receiver. That's just the length on them. When you say carbine mid or rifle length, is the length of the gas block away from the barrel. So I apologize for the camera skills. Like I said, this is my very first video. Please bear with me. This is one 11.5-inch barrel mounted to a standard AR-15 receiver. You need, according to the ATF, this is a disclaimer, according to the ATF, I'm supposed to have a SBR tax stamp on this because this barrel is shorter than 16.5 inches and is on a rifle. Okay, now if I were to change this bit right here and this right here to a pistol buffer with a arm brace, it would then become a pistol, an AR pistol. That's all you'd need to change it. Okay, I'm not going to get on my soapbox about the ATF. I'm a law enforcement guy. I've been in law enforcement for about 10 years. I just recently resigned from my local county and focuses on my full-time job. But I'm not going to get on to all that. What I'm going to be doing today, guys, is taking this AR-15, this Springfield Armory Saint first gen, and I'm going to be taking this bit off right here, from here. And I'm going to be putting a free float rifle length handguard. So what this is an FDE. I believe this brand is AR Stoner. So far, I really like these brands. This brand specifically. I don't know if it's in reference to Eugene Stoner, the inventor of the AR-15 or not. But on my 458 SOCOM build, I used a Stoner barrel, and I'm really satisfied with it. So far, Stoner seems to be a good brand. I got some of this stuff. This is just from extra parts from my buddy. I don't know much about Expo arms. I've never used them before. They look pretty solid, look pretty generic like anything else, and it does say they're made in America, so that's definitely a plus. I'm all about America, and I mean America. But I've got a rifle length barrel here. This is going to be a Bear Creek Arsenal barrel. I've never used Bear Creek before in the past. They seem to be good barrels. A buddy of mine, he's a lot more experienced in this stuff, swears by them. But this is chambered in 5.56. It's a 1x8 twist, meaning for every 1 inch, there's 8 twists of the bullet. So, I mean, it has to do with rotation in the rifling. Brand new barrel, brand new handguard, and hopefully this matches up with this Magpul stuff. I'm kind of a Magpul fanboy. I did use Timber Creek on the dust cover, mag release, and safety selector switch, and I do believe the Ford Assist is Timber Creek as well. It seemed to match up with this FDE Cerakote, but everything else, all the other brown looking stuff is what you'd say is Magpul. Like I said, what we're going to do is dismantle this bit right here, get this barrel nut off, get this barrel out of here, and start on this, and I'll keep y'all updated. Quick update, guys. Quick update. I've got all the accessories taken off. When it comes to accessories, guys, on your Picatinny, it's pretty cut and dry. They're either held on. You can either use a screwdriver, or you're going to be using Allen wrenches, stuff like that. It's whatever you want to put on there. My personal opinion on this stuff, I'm kind of a bigger guy, so I don't have very flexible wrists, so I use a broomstick foregrip. A lot of guys use the angled foregrip, depending on how far away you're reaching on the barrel, stuff like that. I believe, my opinion, every rifle needs a light. Being in law enforcement, every weapon that you have needs to have light, some source of light on it. So at the very least, at the very minimum, on any rifle I have, I usually, if I'm going to use it for work, I'm going to put a light source on them. So I have this Streamlight Polytac, and it is stupid bright. I mean, it's got the strobe, but I enjoy it. It's a little bit cheaper than the Stinger, about the same size, but this one's poly. It's not metal, so it's going to be a little bit lighter on your rifle. Not going to cause as much weight. So I just use a Blackhawk. It kind of offsets. It gets to the correct angle that I want. It's just kind of the way it sets is just perfect on these, especially on this quad rail here. This is just a Cheapo Depot Firefield quad rail. I apologize for the dust. This rifle's one of my babies. I leave it up as a display, but yeah, there's going to be a lot of dirt on here. But on your cheaper parts, depending on the part, it's kind of a trial and error type thing. UTG, the brand UTG, and anything that has to do with UTG, so like your Vism, UTG brand. There's a couple other names that they use. I think they're like smaller companies that UTG owns or operates from. They're garbage, in my opinion. Every piece of equipment that I've ever gotten from Vism, UTG, and there's a couple other brands. They're made of pot metal, so they fall apart. I've either over tightened the screws and it's broke the screws, and I'm not, I don't just come in here and manhandle and gorilla tighten everything. I mean, I try to be as careful as possible, but even I had a Vism Handguard and tried to tighten it down free floating, and it still wiggled. I mean, there's a lot of play in the barrel and stuff, and it just wasn't worth having. But that being said, like I said, I've gotten this taken off. I'm going to leave the broomstick on there just because, I mean, it's not going to keep me from doing anything. And I'm going to try to do this one-handed, so it's going to probably do a lot of falling and breaking. I might have to push y'all down. Let's see, you slide this back right here, and it releases the bottom part of the handguard, obviously, and then you can take the top part off. I'm going to set y'all down for a second to get this top part off. You may need to use a screwdriver just to kind of push it back. I make tools for this as well. Me, when it comes to tools and things like that, I'm not super big on just buying all these accessory tools and things like that. To me, it's overkill, but they do come in handy. So that's up to you. It's your discretion. There. All right, so taking a look at this, it is dirty, way dirty. Get a little bit of sweat on there. Well, big boy, it's hot here in Oklahoma. But what you're seeing here is your gas tube, and it's going to your what they call a delta cap, which goes on the front of the fore end, usually your quad rail, whatever you've got if it's a drop in. Then you have your gas block, which acts as your sight as well, and then it bolts in here. On these tower sights, if you have a barrel with one of these on here, I would highly suggest not thinking about taking these off. Reason being is, I don't know if you can see it, but these pins that are right there, they're not on the edge. They're actually dug through the barrel. They're held on via friction, and and when you take them off, when you hammer those out, not only is it hard to get them back in and remount one of these things, but also I wouldn't say makes the barrel weaker, but you do have like two large just ditches in your barrel, and it just kind of makes you kind of feel afraid. My opinion. This here, you got your barrel nut in there. There's another spring load back in there. That's what moves this right here. Delta ring. I've heard these things called totally all these different names, stuff like that. It's just it's whatever. What I'm going to be doing now is I'm going to take this upper receiver off, put it in my clamshell, put it in the vise block. That way I'll be able to hammer out the pin see if I can get that focus. There's a pin that holds this gas tube on, and I'll be able to slide this gas tube out and get this out of here, and then get the barrel nut off, and I'll be using that tool right there. So stay tuned. Quick update. Use a hammer pinch, my rubber mallet I use primarily for smaller stuff and gunsmithing. Had to take out that roll pin that was in here that was holding the gas block on, and so once I took that pin out, you slides back and you tilt it out just a little bit and pull it straight out. I've taken the BCG out. As you can see, the BCG's out right here. Charging handle's right here. And I've got this in this clamshell bench block. And so what I'll be able to do is torque on this barrel nut now. So I'll be able to get to this now with this tool right here. This thing right here is a lifesaver. If you're going to be doing any armoring, there's several tools out there. I don't know which one you would prefer. This one has everything I've ever needed on it. One build I did was all A2. A2 meaning just a style of parts I put on it. And it's got tools for that, which is A2 meaning it's a little bit more old school. But this has got everything I need on it, plus a little bottle opener for my days of drinking. But it goes everything from, I can even put that on there. You know what I'm saying? Just that right there for your castle nut. Goes on the back of your buffer tube. You can use this side right here for your barrel, or this side. I prefer this one to get a little bit better grip on it. As you can see, I've used it a lot. Having problems with this stuff focusing. What I'm gonna do now is just torque this barrel off here, and I'll get into replacing the barrel and kind of show you what goes on for that. So I'll be try as detailed as possible without sounding like an idiot and dragging on too long. All right, guys. Like I said, I've got it all broke down, pins out, gas tubes out. I use my armorer's wrench with my barrel nut tool on here to get in there. I will say, because this is has a true blue barrel nut on it with a drop-in area, to torque these. Now, there's a lot of speculation on how to torque them, when to torque them, crap like that. You torque them when you put them on, obviously. I mean, there's no speculation on that. Use this, you place that on there, and there's this little square right here that says 1/2 inch on this side. And that, see if I can get that to focus here. Oh, excuse me. 1/2 inch, what that's for is your torque wrench. And I have three torque wrenches. I have one, this one right here is for smaller stuff. I also work on vehicles. So that one's for my smaller stuff. That one's for my big heavy duty stuff, like my, engines and things like that. I'll rebuild engines with that one. This one's mainly for gun stuff because it measures as you're twisting. It's got this little gauge and a little needle that goes back and forth, and it tells you, pounds per inch, or foot pounds and inch pounds, stuff like that. I will use this one for a gun. The specs on these barrels, if your receiver is mil spec, and I don't mean mil spec isn't quality. I hate it when people get so excited about their stuff being mil spec. Mil spec doesn't mean it's anything special. Just because it's mil spec, that doesn't mean you're tactical or anything like that. That means that it was cut and measured correctly. It means it was made correctly. So when I get to torquing on this receiver is not going to bend, break, or tarnish or anything like that. It's going to hold up to me, all 370 pounds of me cranking on it, okay? The torque specs on these barrels, and it goes with anything. Like I said, this has got a barrel nut it'll clamp onto, and I'll show you all that later. This goes from anywhere from 30 to 80 pounds. And somebody's like, well, that's a big, jump. Why from 30 to 80? Mainly you want to start at 30. And when you start at 30, that way you can check and see if your gas tube lines up. So I've got this special little tool here that I slide in. And what it does, it seems like I got a little too much of a clamp going on here. Let me get that slid in there. And what it does is, if you can see that, see how it pushes through right there? And I can take a tool, see if I can get a screwdriver in there. See if I can grab me a screwdriver. And get a screwdriver and get this lined up. Let's see where that slot is. There's that little booger. Well, I'll tell you what, let's get this loosened off so I don't. Okay. There's a little slot in here that you've got to get lined up on these barrel nuts. Now, today's style, you're not using these barrel nuts. So a lot of you younger guys that don't run this A2 stuff are not going to have to worry about stuff like this. But there's a spring right in there that's blocking that. Give me just 1 second. I'm going to put y'all down. All right. Okay. So I've got my tool slid off in here. I've got my gas tube tool. And what this does is just measures, the lineup. So what I'll do is I'll push this through here and see if that lines up. And see that lines up. And what I'm trying to do is get that through there. So in true fashion, what I should be able to do is take this right here. So I do this looking through a phone like an idiot. Shove that in there. It should go further, I believe. Maybe not. And I should be able to line this up. I should be able to shove this down in there and it should line up, and it should tell me, of course, if this was tighter, this is just free balling. This should tell me if that's lined up or not. So you start out at 30 pounds. What I'm getting at ultimately is you start out at 30 pounds and you go up to, you start out at 30 foot-pounds and you can go up to 80 trying to get this lined up. See these little notches in here, you've got to get lined up. That way that sets in that cradle and then runs down to the gas block, I'm sorry. Gas tube's got set in there. So just a little blurb for that, and I'll get this barrel off here and get you updated on the next part. All right, I got my new barrel on. This new barrel nut I love, especially on these free-floating handguards. I usually just throw these barrel nuts on here. You don't have to get anything lined up. There's a little hole where that X is. Up there at the top, that's where my gas tube's going to come out. I don't have to worry about lining it up. I don't have to worry about no notches, nothing. There's nothing there that I have to, that's going to block that gas tube from getting to the gas block. So all I got to do is make sure this is torqued on, so I can set that on there. It even fits on there. So AR Stoner, obviously with this handguard, is thinking about the customer, and I'm going to be pushing on this, and it at least needs to go to 30. Okay, and as you can see, I'm torquing on it, and I'm at least at 50 going up, and I'm doing it one-handed. So I mean, obviously that's going to be good enough. Okay, you can go up to 80. That's my Nerf gun. I'm on Nerf guns too, guys. And then what will happen here is I'll slide this on. I'll tighten these two bolts right here, if that'll focus, and I'll show you when I put those on. But like I said, all this does is just slide right on and go over the end of it. Maybe we'll get this little love tap going on here. Let me put y'all down. I'll get it love tapped on there, guys. Give me just a sec. All right, guys. Now we're going to be putting in or installing, however you freak you want to say it, is a gas tube. Now, when you look at this, you think, oh, it's just a bent piece of tubing. How do I know what end goes into where? Well, here's a tip, guys. You have to have a hole for your gas tube pin. See if I can get that to focus. That's the hole that holds your gas tube in your gas block, and that's the hole that goes towards the barrel. So obviously those have to be this way. So what I'll end up doing is sliding this off into this hole, and I'll slide it off in there far enough to where it's kind of sitting on there, and I'll get the gas block out. Let's get this bad boy out of here. I have my roll pin sitting here on my magnetic. I use this thing a lot. I use it for pistols. It's upside down right now, but that's where the magnet's at. I use that for pistols or hammering out pins. This is your gas tube. This is what they call a non-adjusting gas tube. There's your set pins. That's the hole where your gas tube will go in. That's a set pin right there. That's where you put your roll pins. So obviously it needs to be this way. And there's a hole in there. You can't see it, but that's where the gases come out. The main reason for a gas tube on these carbines or rifles, AR-15s, if you did not have a gas tube with a gas block, they would be bolt action. What happens is you have gas that come from the bullet, the combustion bullet, and runs down, and some of that gas is cycled back to that gas tube and moves your BCG back. So that little thing that sits inside the receiver gets pushed back, and it'll hit the spring on the buffer. That's the buffer right there. There's a spring, big giant spring behind it, and it goes back and then springs forward, and that's what causes another bullet to go into battery. So they'll push the bullet up into the chamber, and that BCG sitting behind it. That's what puts it's primed and in battery is what they'd call that. So I'm going to put this gas block on here because I don't want a bolt action rifle. I do enjoy the semi-auto. And kind of slide this bad boy. If I can do it one-handed without looking. I guess it'd help if I put it on correctly, huh? Don't make fun of me, guys. I'm white. Anyway, so there's that. And let's see if I can get that squared. You can't see it, but I think I can, and I've got it in there perfect. So what I'll do now is push that roll pin through there, and then my gas block should be set. What I'll end up doing is going back, setting that roll pin in there and making sure it's straight, and I'll do that with my little special handy dandy tool that I had earlier. And then we'll move on to the handguard and sliding it on and getting it bolted in. Stay tuned. And there you have it, guys. Tap that back in, lined it up best I could, eyeballed it. As time goes on, I might go back and straighten it up some more. I don't know yet. But there it is. There it is. Little slightly different shade. I know that's plastic and that's metal, but as far as the mag pull, it seems like it matches the mag pull a little bit better. And we'll just see. Like I wanted to put another muzzle brake on there. I thought about doing a Surefire War Comp. Mainly because it's compensator and flash hider. They also have a flash hider that looks really similar to it, but I want to do something better than just the regular bird cage. That's what they call that one right there. That's a bird cage. It's just real simple 5-slot, flash hider. But I want to do something a little bit more tactical. This one's one of my guns I've spent a little bit more money on. I know it's nothing special. It didn't look custom or special and like that. It's just a different color, but it's one of my more expensive rifles as far as parts and what I've got in it. So that's that. I'm happy with this so far. I'll get a front sight. What I might end up doing is getting the front side of the Magpul NBUS and doing a black one. That way it's kind of yin and yang looking stuff. Then I put my my Vortex Spark AR back on here. That's what I run on this, is a red dot. And I have a Magpul FDE handguard or broomstick foregrip. I might slap on there because that's slotted and it'll fit it'll fit up there nice and snug. And of course I gotta put my light back on there, and my, my obviously my tag, that's my stuff. My outer vest that I wear also has that patch on there, and of course my sling loop so I can wear a sling on it. But as time goes on, I'll post more pictures of this stuff and you'll be able to see more and more of it. By the way, if you keep hearing that squeaking, that's my Crocs. I wear Crocs. I'm not farting, promise. But anyway, there's that. And that's how, like I said, as I update a little bit more and more, I'll show it off and post more pics, guys. But thanks for watching. Leave comments for more what content you want to see. If you have any questions about anything, I'm planning on doing another build. Because I did not have an SBR tax stamp, that was illegal to have that on that receiver, like I said previously. So what I'll end up doing is probably doing an AR pistol build with that barrel. So it'll be something simple, and I can go over the lower parts kits and every little spring, detent, rod, pin, whatever goes where, and I can tell you the specs and all that good stuff, and we'll be able to do a build there. I also want to do one more build. That's a Vortex Crossfire 2 39x40 scope. I'm going to do another long range build. I thought about doing 300 blackout. I might do it 5.56. I'm not sure yet. Trying to find a small caliber long range projectile, but I'll have this canted red dot on there. So I'd mounted this originally just to see if it'd work on my SOCOM, which I can't justify putting that big of a scope on my SOCOM. So I took it off and ended up putting a red dot on it. But I'll mount that scope and I'll have that centered just in the middle of those two scope mounts. I'll have that set in there. That way I'm a lefty, by the way, so it wouldn't be setting this way, it'd be sitting this way. And that way, if I'm using my scope, I can just flip over real fast and aim down the red dot for short range / long range stuff. But like I said, guys, if you got any questions, leave them in the comments. I like to do more kind of this stuff. This is kind of a passion for me. I don't get to do it professionally, so I get to do it for fun. But definitely, if you have any more questions, if you have any comments, anything you'd like to say, if you want to talk shit, go ahead and talk shit. If you want to, say I did a good job, tell me I did a good job. Like I said, my very first video. Cut me some slack, guys. And I hope you enjoyed it. But there's my Springfield Armory Saint with the FDE. Thanks.